Alright, today we are looking at a Nikolai build, obviously going into the firearms. Trying not to have too many turrets at the same time, but we may inevitably be reduced to doing so. We'll try and throw in a crawler or two, possibly a dog as well, so as to avoid some of the whining and the complaining from survivor groups. So first off, obviously, we've got the bioweapon Nemesis. Whether or not it's useful to us, we'll see what sort of level the survivor's running at and whether or not they're just going to stunlock us. But best to start off with is obviously getting our cooldown on track. So every time we track a survivor or defeat a survivor, we're going to be getting reduced cooldown on Nemesis. Probably using him in a pinch. We'll see what happens further down the line. As I say, it depends what games you're going into. Options here, we've got tracking rounds, the starting skill. Not always the best skill, but we'll run through them, we'll have a look. So tracking survivors when we hit them by any type of firearm. That can be our manual turrets, our auto turrets. I believe also the grenade launcher card does so as well, as it is a firearms card. Seeing as we'll be shooting them, this I don't feel is as good. If we were going for a trap build as well, or getting creatures involved, then that might be useful. But if we're going to be shooting them directly, then obviously the first one we want, because we know we're going to guarantee the tracking on them. We won't be running infection or a lot of infection with this, so that isn't going to come into it. It would be useful if we were using an infection plus maybe a trap or a leg hold build, but again, getting the shooting down first. Grab builds are good with this one, the UBCS monitor. The lowering the attack power is obviously useful, but obviously that relies on you holding the survivors in place, getting them with crawlers, getting them with grabs. As we're not going to go for that, then obviously best we just stick with actually we shoot them, we track them, we get a bit of cooldown for Nemesis. First skill on this one, firearms cost. It's very useful, but we want to see what we can get on here. Ammo and duration is good, especially on this one. As a note, I probably won't use it at the moment, but your air guns, your glue guns, things like that also get extra ammo. So if you're going purely camera, electronic shielding, this is a very good one to take, because obviously you can stick them in place again, or toss them about with the CO2 guns. Obviously, infection, you want it to build. You want them to be coughing, wheezing all over the place, getting the negative effects on them, but we have the last skill on here as well, watchdog. We don't want to be particularly spamming them, but watchdog allows us to take control of a rifle or something and then spawn a creature as well. Obviously we don't want to be spamming it for the fact of it's not particularly playing the game. We want to be able to shoot people, we want to have some sort of a plan to play it as a mastermind, but also including the creatures makes them reduce their attention towards the cameras. They can either shoot the camera or shoot the creature. We want to be using it to try and hold them in place, shoot them whilst they're going for a locked door. We're going to try out this one first, watchdog, and we'll see how we go from there. In regards to our level 2 and level 3 cards, we do have various options. I can't say that I am a great fan of unlimited duration on the camera weapons. You're still, as it says on here, your ammo limits are still in place. You've got about a minute on the guns. Either they've run past you or they're going to avoid the camera. I suppose as a stalling mod it would be quite good, because the camera's not going to go off, but what we really should be doing is using the rifles to shoot them, do the damage, get the rifle used up, get another one in place, or be putting down a trap or something. With a sniper mod you're essentially closing off the camera and then waiting until it's used, all of its ammo up, and then going back to it after that, so you're locking yourself out of options here. The auto shield mod is very good for a spam build. We're losing out on automated turrets here. I do want to keep the high caliber turret in place because it allows us to perhaps protect a room whilst we're putting zombies or something in another room, or manually using a gun in another room. Especially if you're in a room with 2 cameras, then obviously you can have one as an automated turret, one that you're controlling. This is very good for specific builds, the auto shield mod, but obviously we don't want to be sacrificing our automated turrets to just put this in as a necessity. It's not particularly required. So if we stick with our turret on this one, and we'll likely stick with the turret on the next one, but we'll run through those as well. The reinforced leg hold is very good when it was introduced. Obviously not a lot of skills in here when you only had 1 or 2. Now that we've opened up the options, I find it perhaps lacking. Obviously if you're going for a trap build, spamming the hardened defences or the concealed traps, then obviously an extra trap is always good. But the machine gun here, it usually fires in bursts by the AI. Obviously again you're looking at accurate turret fire. We'll have a look at the equipment to see what we can improve on this one, because obviously we want to include some camera rotation speed. It's a bit slow as it is. People, obviously higher level survivors, are janking and sprinting past and stopping, ducking, diving, so this mixed with camera rotation speed, get a bit of a faster tracking on them. This one, armor piercing sniper rifle bullet, however you want to call it, very, very good, but we're taking chances on this one. If we were using a mouse build, then that would be better, because obviously we've got slightly more control over the camera than using a controller as we're on the Xbox. Obviously if you were using leg holds or some sort of grabbing, crawling zombies to keep them in place, and you can try and go for the headshot with more guaranteed success, then this is a good one to go for. If we're going for the numbers here, trying to get our base damage at a reasonable level, again sticking with the turret for the machine gun. Going back to the spam build on this one, obviously, especially if you're going up against certain survivors, the higher level survivors that are taking the turrets out, this one is going to be very good, but it's interrupting our bioenergy, which we don't particularly want to do. We want to be getting that steady stream in, especially if we're stacking up 6 cost turrets, and we don't want to be spamming over and over. We want to be getting perhaps rifles out, get the damage done. If the rifle isn't going to happen, we cancel that off, we move to a different turret, we try and keep us giving them time down. So very simply, we'll stick with our auto turrets, get them in place, as I've said before, a bit of rotation on them, increase damage, get the base damage numbers up, and we would go from there. Moving on to the equipment, unlocking this one, which is our bioenergy recharge and our biocore durability. It is, as much as it's helpful, it's not the greatest equipment card in creation. Obviously we're resigning ourselves to going to level 3 for our biocores. If we don't get to level 3, then it's wasted some equipment points. I know that some rifle builds exclusively go for damage on top of damage equipment, but again, when you're going up against numbers, you don't know what survivors you're going to come across. You could come across low level survivors, high level teams. You want to be giving yourself a little bit of extra biocharge, and if you do get to level 3, as you inevitably do, you've got extra biocore durability. This one, very good, your high level equipment as well. You've got your camera durability, and you've obviously got recovery time as well. You can go for manual, you can go for auto recovery time, you can also go for extra durability. I understand that it's not a lot, especially against some of the high powered weapons that survivors are going to run across, but you know, a few extra bullets at your camera and your increased recovery time, you're looking good on this one. Next one we've got here is obviously speaks for itself. Increased damage with firearms. We're using firearms, we want to be getting our numbers up. And this, as I mentioned before, Obviously, it's not something that everybody uses, especially if you're on PC, you're using mouse, you perhaps don't use it as often or you don't need it. This one, if we're using auto turrets, we want those cameras spinning around faster. We don't want them panning slowly around the room. We want them to see a survivor, shoot the survivor. So we're looking at a basic deck here for our guns and our turrets. It's not something that everybody uses. We do have a few effects in here. It's not a sole firearms build, as much as it may seem as all we're using is firearms. I like to throw a few cards in there to assist in the matter. Also, if you do put some zombies, some dogs in there, then there's less people complaining that all you're doing is shooting them from a camera. So we don't have the basic rifle. It is obviously cheaper, but if we're going to get a discount card in here for our firearms, and we want every bullet that lands to be doing some damage, we don't want to be setting up a low-powered rifle, panning it around the room, chipping people on the shoulder, dismantling the rifle, and by that time they've got 3 keys. So if we want a rifle, if we set up a gun, we want some damage to be done. Same as with the machine gun here. Obviously it's less damage per bullet, but you've got more bullets in the rifle, especially if you try and use it in bursts. In the heat of the moment you won't always use it, but again, you pull on the trigger, you're putting damage in people. This is the standard power rifle, but it is our first automatic turret. So as I say, rooms with 2 cameras, or if you've got a spare camera that people are going to be running past down a corridor, it's damage you're putting into people, especially when you're in front of a different camera, you're putting a trap down, you're putting a dog down or something, it's still damage that's being done for you in the background. We've got our shields. You've got somebody shooting you with a magnum, or you've got somebody with a rocket launcher taking your cameras out. Gives you that a little bit of extra protection, lets you see what's happening longer. Because we are actually using zombies, monsters in the build, we do try and add something to them. You can use Berserker, you can use Energy Leech, but you are essentially just, as I've said before, you're playing with your percentages, you're playing with your numbers. I've got on my builds zombies already on the map. I used to run infectious zombies when we were first starting up, and now that we've got camera effects, you can go back perhaps to one of your setups, just put zombies in, don't make them infectious zombies because that's costing more in your map presets, and then obviously you use this card, everything that's currently out on the map, your zombies become infectious. As I say, you can use Berserk, you can use Energy Leech to get back, but we want to be trying to use our energy in a reasonable fashion, and sometimes Berserk, they can Berserk all they like, but if you're running 2 shotguns, 3 shotguns, things like that, and they're shooting them in the head, the Berserk's not going to make a difference. A couple of shots and they're dead. If we can leave a gas cloud behind, or if we can get a bite or 2 in and start the infection building whilst we're chipping away at them with turrets as well, then obviously we'll see how that goes. It's usually helpful. In my opinion, the best trap to run, it's not obviously going to be doing the damage of an explosive trap. The shock trap is deceptively large in its radius. I have found that you'll get survivors standing and then shooting at it, thinking they're out of the area of effect, and then getting zapped by it still. It's doing a bit of damage, it's slowing them down. Also, when you're running against melee builds and they're hitting them, it's still affecting them. So, as I say, anything you do to get your numbers up, it's affecting more than one at the same time. People don't always realise they're going to be in its area of effect. It's a good trap to put down, and obviously it'll earn its money back, as it were. We do want to be putting zombies in, as I've said. Watchdog is going to be giving us our main source of perhaps tough zombies, armoured zombies on occasion. We do have dogs, as you can see on here, which we will move on to. We do want to be putting zombies down. We don't particularly want them to be costing, because we're going to be running guns, turrets, traps anyway. Crawling zombies, put them around a corner. It gives you, on occasion, a grab. They'll hold in place, they'll do some damage. You put them down for free, you then get yourself a gun up, you do what you can. It's all about the numbers. Dogs, I moved away from dogs originally, but I have found that they, with tweaking, are coming back. Obviously you could get a standard zombie for 2, or you can get a pair for 3. This one, keeping it cheap to the 2, you will find that they will run round corners and they can run down corridors. They can dodge the occasional shot and they'll nip at people with the shins, the ankles. You're getting your numbers in there, and it's something that's not slow moving. It disrupts the survivor's run of using their weapons in a standard fashion to line up headshots. These things are running at them at a lower angle. It's something to perhaps mess them up, to get them to break from their runs, as it were. This one, what everybody needs: get your firearms down. Nikolai has the built-in skill of reducing firearms costs, but obviously we've sacrificed that to get our watchdog animal spawnings. So we put this in. This is going to stay in the build. Get the firearms down because we want them as quickly as possible. Not every build uses a converter mod. We will be using 2, obviously with our firearms discount, and then this one on top. As we're going to be running through the turrets, the machine guns, the rifles, we'll be getting grenade launchers at a decent rate. As I say, not every build uses them, because obviously you may want to spam actual cards with specific discounts or overdrive cards. This one, we're going to just get a steady build, a steady supply of the rifles, the turrets, reduces the cost down, and then obviously building our grenade launchers up, firing the grenade launcher, getting a new one as quickly as possible. So I think this is a reasonable one. We do have our 2 upgrade cards as firearms. We do have 3 firearms in the build as well. As I say, it's not as spam firearms as I have seen, but we don't necessarily want to be doing that. As much as you perhaps want to win the game, we also don't want to be just spamming firearms, electronic shields, and then just seen as somebody playing in cheesy ways. We want to find our own path. We want to perhaps put a bit of brightness in it, and if we can mess them up with shock traps and dogs biting at their ankles, then we will do that as well. And that's cosmetics. We don't have those as yet. Okay, as I said, we're going to be moving forward with that. You set your rifles up, you take your shots where you can, you do a bit of damage. If we can make them infectious as well, then obviously that's in your favour. We'll be slowing down the clock, trying to get them away from the security zombie in level 2. If we need the nemesis with the rocket launcher, dropping him in when we can, but we'll get to that one. Alright, so in regards to turrets and guns, on this one we're running a couple of zombies, and we've also got traps in the key rooms. Try to space out the keys as much as possible, really. We don't want them running into them on their first run through the corridor, but obviously there's not particularly a back room to hide them in on here. Running the build that we went through earlier, not changing anything. Obviously you don't know what survivors you're going to be going up against, so once you've got it in mind what build you're going to be running, it's best to just stick with it from there. And we'll see what we're going to be up against. No level 100s, which is always good. I've seen 600 odd, 300 odd. It's always nice to not be outnumbered, by 1,000 to 1 in levels. So we've got Martin here for traps, Valerie for cleaning up health and infections, Jan for the cameras, no Jill, no rocket launchers, as it were, for a special skill, which is always something I suppose, but considering Tyrone blasts his you can't kill me area of effect, reducing all damage, which isn't going to be particularly helpful, but we'll see what happens. You won't want to be putting traps down willy-nilly, as it were, or just wherever. Martin's going to be running into them, and then obviously Jan's going to be on the camera, so we're going to have to be quick at our switching out.
Fulfill contracts.
Locking doors, knocking lights off whenever possible. We'll see what we can put in this room here. Knock the light off. We've got a zombie already. Dog, infection, we don't want to be spouting that off quite yet.
Oh, you have found my little toy.
Right, we don't need to protect the camera. We'll get the infection off now, because we want to be cycling through the cards when we can. Jan's wandering off. Yes, the door is locked.
If I have high pressure, if it's here, I'll find it.
She's obviously got the sense to run in and out the room. Yes, the shock trap. We'll see if they come in at all. Trying to get the arm shot there. Dog on it. Right, that's going to be no good because she's going to run off there. Try and lock it as much as possible.
I doubt you will live to use it.
We'll have to just leave that key. She's going to be going around and joining up with him.
Easy. Do not be pleased with yourself.
Get some damage points on. I very much doubt they're going to be coming through the back as well. Obviously, if they're high enough level to know where the keys are, they're going to be running through very quickly. They're going to know that you're not going to put keys in the starting area. Use our auto turrets as we can. If we can lock a door, 12 seconds left on that, so we can't. Jan on the camera there, switch out. Lights off, see if we can lock Martin in the room. It's not the greatest, it's not the be all and end all, but it's something for you. While she's shooting on the ground, get a few bursts off with the machine gun, get some damage in.
Making me angry will only make this harder for you.
Don't want to be putting particularly anything extra down, it's just going to give them time to build back up. I don't know exactly what he's doing. Running around. It wastes time on them. There's no particular point.
Fuck with me.
See if you can get a quick grenade launcher in.
Your client will
No.
be happy with the field.
The machine gun constantly spamming the camera there, meaning that it can't move, and we also can't get a trigger off.
This is fine.
As always with a 4v1 game of any type, this Dead by Daylight as well is another one, then the mastermind is always going to be set back in regards to options and also what you're going to be able to do. Developers of game are always going to support the 4 versus the 1. It's not the greatest in the world, but what can you do? Otherwise you don't get a game. Switch out the camera. If you get caught whilst you're manning a camera, then they're going to get points for disabling it. High powered turret in there, and then see if we can recover the camera behind them. Get some infections, maybe a shock trap in there behind them whilst he's getting grabbed. There's not a lot else to be able to do.
Take it, and I will kill you with my next toy instead.
See if we can get a couple of torso shots. Get the grab in as well. She's going to come round? No, she's not going to come round. Can't shoot through the glass there, so we can't get at camera 13, get eyes on her. Auto turret just in case.
They say, without torture, the door is locked. And the seconds
Right, so we've downed her, which means that we're tracking the nemesis. Crawling zombie on top of her. Locking the doors when possible. He's trying to get the revive with the spray there. Okay. See if we can disturb them with a nemesis. Shock trap's got 3 of them there, as you can see. See if we can get a quick exterminate in very quickly before we get stunned. There we go, downed 1. Going for the... and getting hit by something there, which I'm not exactly sure what it is. Flashed as well as going to stun me. See if we can punch her a couple of times. Couple of downs. I know she's getting the security device over there by 17, but I really don't want Martin to get 2 revives as well. He's hiding in the corner. Does that mean I can't get him in the corner? Let's just leave him as it is.
Oh my gosh, I would do anything to thank you for that. Anything.
2 seconds, we'll just cancel that early. We'll see what Jan's getting up to. She's looking, she's going in the room. Keep an eye on that supply zombie down there as well, because if they kill it, it's amusing for them. Not a lot we can do at the moment. We've got one running machine gun, stunning the cameras. We've also got increased skill point cost. Just take it as you can, really. Always looking around, locking a door when we can. Yes, I can see you there. Yeah, I can see you there as well. Maybe get the turret, maybe get 1 or 2 shots off.
The old-fashioned methods.
And then they'll be running for the door, which we will lock. Quick machine gun, ready for when they burst through. Remembering to try and do it in bursts.
Just die.
Oh, there we go. Lovely. Get a dog in there. Get a turret as well. See if we can... No, he's actually going to be hidden under the turret, but might get a couple of shots as they leave. What we can do, just play a little bit. Down in with the machine gun, shoot me from beneath. I don't know. They'll be getting out. We've delayed them as much as possible. They're healing up with Val's skill. As I say, the 4v1, there's not a lot you can do in most cases. You're going to be running against people that are reducing damage. You're going to be running against Val, who's getting rid of the infections, who's healing everybody up automatically. You're just doing what you can, really, hoping for an enjoyable game. But we'll see what happens.
I do not know how you are still alive, but it will not.
Level 3 on the research facilities, the main elevator or lift in the middle, you want to be pushing that up. Obviously they'll call it back down, but anything you can do to delay them. We'll see if we can nip a trap behind that, and then hopefully they don't see it immediately. Bit of ammo there. Get the machine gun turret down, might shoot one of them. Shock trap Val as well. She's going to be calling it down, they're going to be trying to shoot it. Caliber turret as well. Our rotation equipment's helping us a bit on here, obviously. I would recommend playing a few games with it on, with it off, so you see the effect of it. Skill points up as well. Which doesn't increase the cost of your converter mod, so if it comes to it we can just spend one, get the grenade launcher as well, but we want to just see where they're going for now.
Small progress. Keep trying.
Break
But I
into
stop
that
you
one.
soon, eh?
Knock a couple about, see if we can send one of them down. I am trying to send that down, if it would allow me to do it. Another crawling zombie, something to do with damage. Turret that one, then we'll see if we can maybe nip a nemesis in on there.
Give up, young ones. The nemesis will end this for you.
See if we can get out of the stun. Not a lot we can do against the stun times. Yeah, hit him before he zaps us. Yeah, and that's him shinning Nemesis as you would. This doesn't exactly promote it as enjoyable. See, we're stunned. This is now our 3rd stun in a row. There's not a lot we can particularly do about it. It's the way that it's currently in design. As I mentioned when setting up the build, that you don't want to be relying on your superpower. That's the 6th stun we've got in here, and we've not been able to do anything at all. He's setting a trap down, which we will try and avoid. Set us on fire again. 7th stun.
Now I shall end this.
Nope, we run out of time. Swipe the camera. Try and get a machine gun turret on there. If we can get eyes on, try and separate them as much as possible. It's not something we can do every time, but we will very quickly shield up, get an Ivy down. A few headshots. He's used a herb. Haven't quite been able to kill him. That's another one of Jan's skills. Probably yeah, there we go, skill cost increase. I'm not buying a 5-cost dog. That's just not going to work out. Nearly down the cooldown. Try and get the rifle. Couple of maybe headshots in there.
You will suffer.
Swap out before she can kill the camera. Try and frantically get the camera back, which we will turret up, and then once they're shocked, we'll get this one on board.
Stop resisting!
Turret that one, Martin is down. See what we can do. Which is a quick grenade launcher. See if we can get a bit of a knock. So as you see there, when you're running the 4 against the 1, you've got the damage reduction, you've then got the automatic heal, the infection clear, you've got Martin spamming the tasers and the flashes there. Well, it was what, 7-8 stuns on Nemesis. You do what you can. You can try and tailor a build to resisting one aspect, but as you're going in against 4, you're going in against higher levels as well, there's always the chance of that. He's not bad. You also want to be looking out in your area too. If you can, on certain maps, get a closed off door for the security zombie instead of them being able to access it by 2 points. If you can get a room where you've got a couple of cameras and only 1 point of entry, you can obviously then set your turrets up and you're using your rifles on the other door. Okay, so in this one we've got Sam, Tyrone, Jill, Valerie, no Martin, so the trap should be a bit easy to put down. Val perhaps would be best to single out, try and get the healing down, but shouldn't be too bad. We'll see what they're like. Obviously levels don't always guarantee you a sign of how experienced they are. They could be running through with a specific plan, they might not be. We'll see what happens in this one. Also, this being Bemusement Park, this is one of the 2 latest maps that they've released. Obviously, I know that they're just a rehash of previous assets, but I do find that the 2 latest ones do have a better end game for the Mastermind. It's a bit more easy to close areas off. Let's have a look here. So, don't always want to pick a room to fill up with things before they move around. Always best if they split up a little bit.
This device may not be lethal, but
Flaming torch, where are you going? Come on, guys. Off as well. Right, slap a cheap turret in there. We can look behind as well. Maybe a shock trap at the door. Dog spawn behind as well. Don't want to be throwing all the eggs in the basket, but a bit of damage there. Terrific. There we go. Oh, and we've got it down. Okay, lock the door. A couple of seconds for them to get the revive. There's a zombie there as well. I know they're going for the key. I just want to keep an eye on him here.
Good. You can move to the more dangerous toys now.
Thanks for that.
Can't lock that door. Get the light off. Turret's the only option there to get some damage in. Okay, so they get one key, we're fighting them from finding the other two. He's just used his superpowers, so there's damage reduction. Jill's running back to heal up. Some infection, some damage being done. We're slowing them down a little bit. We've got the 60 seconds on the clock. It's a good start. Sometimes it does pay to get, as I say, we got the trap down, we got the dog down, we did the damage, then machine gunned her. You get one down, you try and close them off from the other. Right, there's a supply zombies there, so I want to try and protect him. Shock trap in front of him, make sure the lights are off, make whatever zombies are remaining infectious again. These guys should have been caught by the cameras previously, but it just lets us cycle through. See which door they're going to, try not to give them any time.
No need to keep
Whilst he's punching that zombie, set him on fire, get some damage in there for him.
only this.
Light off, lock that door.
The more dangerous ones now.
Some hits on him. Right, they've got to come back through that room, so if we can lock that door or knock the lights off. We've got a grenade launch, we've also got another for 3 cost. Waiting on... Oh, run out of time. Even better. So there we go, that went slightly better than last time. We're not getting shocked and zapped by Martin every 3 seconds. Always good to have. I'm hoping it's an S rank. Should be. We've got the time, we used enough skills. You know you wanna. Lovely. Okay, so bad first game, but shows that you can actually do it. On to the next one.